What's up, Thumbers? Welcome to a film review from Hyper Rabbit Power Go. Very excited to be here to be talking about Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn.
Guys, this is the first time I've been to a theater on a Thursday in years.
Dang! You forgot what a midnight screening was, didn't you?
Well, I went to a 6 p.m. screening because I'm an old man.
You somehow got like the early screening.
I got the earliest screening possible. The old man screening at 6 p.m.
That's amazing.
I got matinee prices and everything. Just
I went
kidding.
so late. It was Friday by the time I got out.
Yeah. And I went somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, you went somewhere in the middle.
Because Augustine was like, cool, see you guys on the other side. Yeah. But then you got out and you're like, just got out. And I was like, I'm about to go in.
Yeah. And I'm nowhere near going to the theater.
Yeah.
I actually ended up having to go later than I was supposed to go because we had a show going on and that I was running. So I didn't get to go till 10:30, so it was a little late.
But all of that is still better than those old school midnight showings,
12:01.
They were brutal.
Those are rough.
I'm glad those were a thing when I was like in high school and shit because I had the stamina then. I do not have that kind of.
You got that old man energy now.
No possible way
I would just be sitting there going, yeah, okay.
Like, God,
we're just yawning.
What time is it? I'm going to get out at 2, could be home by 3. What the?
I need to go Mimi's now.
Boy.
Before we get into the review, if you have not seen this movie yet, we'll be talking a little bit non-spoilers, but mostly spoilers. We also did a recap of all the events leading up to Birds of Prey.
Click
in this
there.
case,
or click here.
In this case,
or
it's
here,
mostly just the
here.
Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
You click the link down in the description, or use the icon info card. Or just, if we had annotations like we used to, it would just be clickable anywhere. But I would definitely recommend checking that out. If you saw our Road to Avengers Endgame, it's very similar to that, where we kind of go through character by character and give you a little bit of a brief history about the characters and how they sort of lead into this movie. This movie really mostly just features one character that crosses over, but as we'll talk about, there are obviously references to the story of the last film and a couple of Easter eggs, which I thought were really, really fun. But before we get into all of that, let's get into just non-spoilers. Movie ends. What were your guys' take on the film?
Loved it. I love this movie. I'm so glad. I'm so glad I loved it, and I'm so glad it is what it was. I feel like a lot of the movies in the DC film franchise, that's the first thing I went to is I went to my ranking, and up to this point, my favorite's Wonder Woman. Those emotional highs are spectacular. I cry the first time I watch Wonder Woman, and I can still get emotional thinking about some of those sequences. But I think a lot of people say, like, Wonder Woman's great. There's still some uneven stuff in it. And at the end of Birds of Prey, credits rolling, I was like, I feel like this was beginning to end pretty solid and pretty kind of put together. And it felt the most like a movie that the director, writer, everybody working together, like, intended to make this story on the page, and it was up on the screen. Like there wasn't that much of reshooting, and if there was, it didn't feel that way. So it felt like really kind of the most like this really is these storytellers and all the storytellers, the actors and everybody included. Like it's their collaborative effort and what they wanted to do, and I think they nailed it.
Absolutely.
Versus like other superhero movies and other movies in the DC Films franchise where I'm like, oh, I wonder if this is a compromise. I wonder if this feels like it was reshot. This is an edit. Watching Justice League, this was definitely reshot. Those kinds of things were not happening.
Is this plot point going to pay off in the next movie? Because we don't know.
Right.
Stuff like that.
And that wasn't, there was setup for sure, but there was not something that was like, oh, this is set up, but you won't see it until 2 years from now. Like, and that was like refreshing. Like it was. So at the end, I went, I think this is my favorite. Had the most fun with it, and I think for me, it was up to this point the sort of best effort from a film in the DC Films franchise. Yeah.
Dovetailing off of what you said about this movie feeling sort of the most cohesive out of all of them, I definitely felt that a lot in this movie as well. I still think that Wonder Woman and Shazam, despite the fact that both of those movies have reshoots, and Wonder Woman, the third act does fall apart just a little bit for me, I feel like those two movies had the most heart, or at least hit me the most in a heartfelt sort of way.
Totally.
So I still think that those two sort of take the top spot for me so far, but I really did enjoy a lot of Birds of Prey.
Yeah.
The fact that we finally got a Harley Quinn movie where Harley Quinn got to be center stage, and on top of that, we got this sort of like cherry on the top by having the Birds of Prey, who are in this movie not really established yet, but by the end of the movie, they are an established team.
Yeah.
But it was great to see Black Canary, Huntress, Renee Montoya, Cassandra Cain, even though she is pretty hugely changed from the comic books, it's still the idea of like we're expanding the universe outward, we're planting seeds for things to come in the future. And I thought this was probably one of the funnest, might be the most fun, might be kind of like a weird thing to say, but Ewan McGregor is
Yeah.
very
God,
aware
Ewan
of what
McGregor.
movie he's in.
Yes.
He is.
chews it up beautifully.
That was embarrassing. Yeah.
He's so perfectly cast in this role
Yeah.
as Roman Sionis,
Yeah,
Black Mask. I loved him, and I loved sort of the companionship, camaraderie, partnership between him and Victor Zsasz.
Yeah, it's like
We've never
they
That
a
was good.
couple?
It's like, there was some scenes where I was like, y'all gonna make out right now?
ambiguous.
Yeah.
And
it
I
definitely was.
really like that. And we've seen Victor Zsasz in previous, like he was in the Batman Begins movie.
Right.
He's been in previous iterations, but we've never. This is, I would say, the most time spent with this character.
Yes.
Right.
And even though it's not a big role, I think it perfectly fits. And I think it perfectly sort of supports Ewan McGregor's role.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And I think it's a really great supporting role.
He was a great sub boss to the boss.
Right.
Like,
Totally.
Right.
Yeah, what did you think?
I loved it. There were moments in it where they were subtle, really hilarious moments for me. Like when the laugh that she was laughing when she was pushing that shopping cart out of the store.
Yeah.
I was just like, man, she's owning it.
Yeah.
So I feel like Margot Robbie, just like we have Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, just like we have what's his name as Logan.
Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman as Logan.
What's his name? The Unforgettable.
Yeah, the unforgettable Hugh Jackman. We have these actors who are these characters in there, inseparable. I think Margot Robbie hit that with this character 110%.
I have, right after seeing the movie, I read a bunch of Harley Quinn comics, and I'm hearing her voice.
You're hearing her voice, and you hear it all.
Great job.
It was just, I loved that the movie was very female-centered but not sexualized. There was nothing over-sexualized at any point.
But everybody's still so damn sexy.
Oh, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Do I have a huge new crush on Black Canary?
Yes.
Yeah,
100%.
exactly.
Yes.
I was gonna say that right after I got all my size out.
Yeah.
Because so watching her kick ass, and as a badass too, not like, oh yeah, just whatever, like a creepy kind of way. It's like, dude, she's dope. She's owning it. She's this martial arts master. She looked badass in that suit and the hair. I'm just like, come on, man. This is I think it's what ladies feel when they see like a rock star, like the lead singer of a band.
Yeah.
And you're just like,
Yeah.
okay.
Definitely. It was definitely
You know, it's like that kind of
Beatlemania,
it was that kind of Beatlemania thing.
Yeah.
And so everybody owned their character in this movie, specifically Margot Robbie and Ewan McGregor. Those two for me were the standouts. This movie was brutally fun. This movie had stuff in it where I was just like, specifically some jail scenes in which you're like, how is she going to get out of this? Because there's just one woman here and there's like 10 guys around. What's going to happen? And what they do with the action scenes, I think, was great. It was refreshing. Overall, the storytelling felt cohesive throughout. There was little tiny moments that made you care about things like a sandwich.
Yeah. Oh, God.
So, like, there's
If you're not
really
hungry walking out of this movie, then you didn't watch the movie.
Right, exactly. There's the shirt that Renee Montoya wears where it's just like, I think they did that to like distract from like more boring points of the story.
Sure. That's a really good point.
But yeah, so because I remember every time that shirt popped up on screen, everybody started laughing. And when everybody realized what was on that T-shirt, the whole theater started, like you could hear pockets of laughter left and right. This movie was very unique in its tone. It was dark but colorful at the same time. There was really sad moments where you could tell Harley was hitting rock bottom, but then there was really good moments in which she was really standing up for herself and really just owning this new person that she is.
Legitimately empowering.
Yeah,
like,
legitimately.
Like,
right.
I was like, that's great.
Right. And it's not necessarily like a male-female kind of thing. It's just like this person came from a dark place and is now trying to get over it. And what does a person go through that in order? Like, what are the stages of that? She goes through a bit of that in this movie. Well, a lot of that in this movie. And I think they did just a bang-up job of everything in this movie. It's hard for me to find things that I really didn't like in this movie. Like, thinking back on it, I feel like I excused and didn't even register things that I didn't like because everything else was so much fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think I had
highly recommend it.
I totally agree. I think I had like one or two of those.
I don't even remember them.
And one that I only one that I remember while watching the movie I thought of and then was paying attention to the movie to be like, did they explain this? Did they explain this? And then I don't think they did, and maybe I missed it, but at the end I was like, this feels like the movie has done so much goodwill
Yeah.
that those kinds of moments, whether it's like plot things or whatever,
Right.
that aren't fully explained. It's just like when Indiana Jones rides outside of a Nazi submarine, and then it cuts to the map and the submarine, and you're like, wait, is he underwater for all?
Yeah,
and
like,
as an audience member, you do not care.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's just like, by that point, if that's what you're paying attention to, just like Harrison Ford said about Star Wars. Mark Hamill, they're coming out of the trash compactor, and Mark Hamill's like, wait, should I have my hair wet for continuity? And he goes, kid, if they're looking at your hair,
then they're not paying attention.
We're failing.
Then that's that's at least our worries.
So I feel like objectively, I had so much fun that I just forgot about all that stuff, which is, I guess, the mark of a good movie, like Mr. Mark Hamill, not Mark Hamill. Harrison Ford would say.
Yeah, I think if a movie completely sort of like wraps you up in its characters and its story and its moments and its humor and its action, then I think, and it's entertaining you, then I think it like kind of checks all the boxes of like, did I enjoy it? Was I entertained?
Yes.
Did I have fun?
Yes.
All that. Like, did I feel like I got what I was hoping to get out of this movie, which was like great, fun, emotional, storytelling. And if the answer is yes, then I think that to a certain extent is like a successful movie.
I agree. I'm glad people listened to Margot Robbie.
Yeah.
Because she was a big proponent of this movie getting it made.
She was trying like a lot of different things. It was Birds of Prey. It was Joker and Harley, Gotham City Sirens. There was a lot of different things.
Right. And the good thing about a Birds of Prey franchise is that if they wanted to, they could open it up to the bigger universe. There's been so many people
the next
in the Birds of Prey.
And the blank
and the blank of the blankety blank blank.
Who will be in it?
Right, exactly. Like there was a point where Oracle was in it. There was a point where Nightwing was a part of it. Like there was so many things happening.
It's such a big roster.
It's a huge. I was just reading the wiki of who was in this list, and I'm like, everybody's been a part of the Birds of Prey. So cool, let's open it up.
Are endless.
Yeah, I mean, and thinking about it now, if this is the tone they're setting, I'm all in. Let's do this.
Sure.
Like, let's set this off this way. I love it. It's great.
Yeah.
You had a fun time.
I had such a good time, guys. Like, you don't even know. I went by myself. Like, I was there was just me sitting in the theater. There was not a lot of people, which is discouraging.
So I want to touch on that a little bit.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily think it was because people are not interested in seeing this movie. I think it's because it's 6 p.m. I'm being serious.
Because only old people go to movies at 6 p.m.
I had no clue that there were 6 p.m. screenings, and I didn't even see any listed anywhere.
Right.
But like our 10:30 screening was packed.
It was packed. Okay, that's good. That's good to hear because mine was not.
That's so
interesting. There was really nobody like 5 seats down from me or 5 seats the other way. But there was a girl in front of me who was loving it even more than I was. Like, she was laughing. Yeah. She was having a good time. She was going, oh, my God, like reacting big to this stuff. And I'm like, this is amazing. Yeah. This is what we need. Everybody in the theater was having a really good time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Do you guys think that the rated R rating was... It like helped the movie be even more of what it was, or do you think it kind of held it back from exposing it to more people?
I think it helped it.
I think it helped.
I think because why was this movie rated R? It was rated R because of certain violent moments.
Yes.
Which I'm like, dude, if those moments were awesome. Like I'll just say the jumping up on the dude's legs that we saw in the trailer and those kinds of violent moments, and even just Harley like taking in that cocaine, like those kinds of things, right? So it's that coupled with, which to me is not even of the violence that we saw, not even that bad. No. I guess should we go into spoiler territory by now, or wrap up all of this to say that coupled with
Harley taking cocaine? Context.
We don't know if it was.
That's true.
It was.
So,
but that's also in the trailers and the marketing material that people have already figured out that because she's in like a place that has a place that has a big pile of cocaine on a
wait, that was in the trailers?
Yeah.
It was. Or a TV spot or something. Like it's a gift.
That.
People have already like seen her going.
Oh, okay.
Because it's in a trailer, and I just didn't notice it either.
Yeah.
But people that are like, dude, that's cocaine. I'm like, what? I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what cocaine is. But so. The rated R like violence to me was like this doesn't even feel as bad as other rated R films. It really feels like a hard PG-13.
Yeah.
There were some moments with the choreography and the way that it was shot where I was like, oh, dang, crunchy. Yeah. But there was nothing that was like horrible, horrible. And then the cussing, just like F-bombs and stuff like that. And I'm like, that also needed to be a part of it because it's these characters.
Right. But this kind of language felt natural coming from these characters, specifically Harley.
That's what I'm saying. It's not Wonder Woman. It's not Batman.
It's not Titans. That's for sure.
I know.
The most forced F-bombs I've ever heard. So
way more than this 2-hour movie.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I think it helped it a lot, specifically for those hyper-violent scenes, because we have quite a few of them, some drug reference type stuff. But I don't think this is going to keep anybody from watching this kind of stuff. I think this is just a theory from me, but I think we're kind of past the point where people are like, "Oh, it's rated R.
Yeah,
it's not going to reach the kid demographic." Dudes, people our age are the people that are taking their kids or have the money to pay for a movie. And maybe we're going to go regardless.
Maybe I'm a bad parent, but if I had teenage kids, 13 and up, I'd be
would take them.
Let's go see Birds of Prey.
I would take them.
Maybe I would watch it once or check, look up or whatever. But I'm like, there was nothing that was really, really mean-spirited or just awful or
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I remember
maybe one
watching
scene.
Which one?
Well, we're not talking spoilers yet.
Is it the Black Mask?
Yes.
That's pretty gnarls Barkley. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. That was pretty gnarly. But considering how they did it, I was like, could have been worse.
Could have.
Yeah.
They could have gone full Saw. You know what I mean? But I was like, one or two, like, oh. Again, it's just like that PG-13, want to see a magic trick? I'm going to make this pencil disappear.
Yeah, right.
The Dark Knight and the Joker, like, that's horrifying. Yeah. Or when he would cut a knife and then the camera would just cut away and a string would come in like, and you'd be like, oh, he cut him? Yeah. We never saw, like, that's what it felt like.
It's worse in your mind than it is in. Yeah.
Let's get into spoilers.
Spoiler time. Are you going to flash spoilers?
I mean, look, here's your warning. If you haven't seen this movie and you're still sticking around, then this is all on you. Not on us.
Whoa.
Go watch a recap first.
Matthew Libatique did the cinematography?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Matthew Libatique.
He's so good.
Also did the cinematography for Iron Man.
Yep.
Iron Man 2, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
And Venom. And Wonder Woman.
A Star is Born.
Yes, and Wonder Woman.
Yeah. It's incredible cinematographer.
Yes,
really,
really good cinematographer. So let's talk a little bit about spoilers. What is something that you guys want to touch on immediately that really stood out to you in a positive or negative way about this movie?
Positive. Despite the movie not having like an established here, the Birds of Prey, I love the origin.
Right.
And at the end of this film, when it is Huntress, when it is Black Canary, and fucking Renee Montoya, and she had like a little jacket thing. It's like
the little bulletproof jacket. Yeah.
These three characters I want to see go and recruit more women of the DC universe and more characters to be in the Birds of Prey. That's the thing that made me the most excited. Like, people are saying, dude, I want Renee Montoya, Rosie Perez to be the Question. Like, they're like this character, I'm all in for this character. So she was a highlight for me. In terms of anything else, that's spoiler, I don't know. Joker not appearing in the movie.
That's what I wanted to touch on.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Because he's in the movie, but not.
But he's not.
And they shot some stuff with Joker, but it wasn't Jared Leto as Joker.
Now, was that stuff that was just behind his head angle from Suicide Squad? Because I felt like there was a couple of shots from Suicide Squad that I was even thinking like, okay, when she dips into the tank, I remember being like, wait, was Jared Leto Joker standing there?
He was
digitally remove him when she like falls backwards, or like
I think I remember him walking away at that point.
Right, so he was there, but I'm trying to remember like if he was literally in the shot, and if they. So all of this to say, there's no Jared Leto likeness.
Right.
Of the Joker. It's almost left up to like if they wanted to recast the Joker.
Absolutely.
This movie would still fit into.
I think it was very
deliberate.
On purpose.
Yeah.
Clearly that he wasn't in there, but also the blowing up of the Ace Chemicals factory.
Right. Yeah.
Like they are what they're saying is like, fuck this.
Yeah.
We're cutting ties with everything that happened there.
Yeah.
This is Harley emancipating herself from that garbage Suicide Squad and moving on with the future.
Yeah.
To me, that's what I got from that scene because it starts off very much with her reminiscing. It starts off actually with a beautifully animated scene with the Joker that looks nothing like a previous Suicide
he looks
Squad
more like
Joker.
a 60s cartoon version of the Joker.
Exactly.
He does like Jared Leto.
Yeah, he looks a little bit more like the Batman the Animated Series Joker than anything. Yeah. Really.
I think that's what I actually did enjoy about that whole opening of the movie was this. Even if you had seen Suicide Squad, it was still nice because in Suicide Squad we kind of got like a very loose look at how Harleen Quinzel becomes Harley Quinn, and it's mostly done through the perspective of the Joker, not so much Harley Quinn.
Right.
And it's being told by Amanda Waller.
Yeah.
So now it was really nice to open the movie like a first, like a I don't know what's the term I'm looking for.
The animated sequence
point of view.
like a first-person point of view.
Yeah, it's like Harley's point of view of like,
telling her
here's my backstory. Here's who I was before I became Harleen Quinzel, PhD.
Here's what motivated me to get my PhD.
And here's how even problematic I was as a kid.
Best part.
Which I thought was like great,
and
then leads into like how she becomes Harley Quinn and everything that's transpired and what's happened to her since we saw her in Suicide Squad.
That was key because like a lot of great Harley Quinn comics that cover the same material, and even the Harley Quinn animated show that's on DC Universe right now, they have made the effort to be like, look, even though she was manipulated by Joker, she was already going to always be a supervillain.
We talked about that in the recap too, of
that.
like no matter
Love
what,
that.
she was already on that path.
Correct. Yeah.
Because she admits that some of the stuff Joker did was stuff that she planned and never got credit for.
Yeah, which I thought was great too.
And did you notice that, looking back on it,
Renee Montoya
that thing that they showed in the animated sequence was her stealing a diamond.
Yeah.
And the Joker taking credit for it, which happens to be the plot of the movie with the stolen diamond and all this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think she even admits to Cassandra Cain that like the plot of like she doesn't say who it is. I took it as she's referring to Jason Todd when she talks about like a murder, helping the Joker murder someone.
Interesting.
And
yeah.
I
being
didn't
the one
catch
who like
that.
kind of plots that out. I'm like, is this a reference to Jason Todd?
Might
I
be
didn't
Robin.
catch that.
Yeah.
There's also been some conversations about like kind of where this takes place, and this is where it kind of gets frustrating when we're talking about timelines and how things connect and all that sort of stuff. There was an interview with Kathy Ann, I think back in December, where she says that like it takes place in a parallel timeline.
Yeah, that's a bunch of BS.
I don't think so.
And I to me that's like I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to inform people that like yes, it is it's a Harley Quinn story with Margot Robbie's version of the character, but it's not necessarily dependent upon everything that's happened before it. But it's not like Suicide Squad's on this path or this timeline, and this movie's on a different timeline.
Right.
Same timeline, but I think what she's trying to say is like, if you haven't seen Suicide Squad, it's not necessarily like a big loss for you if you don't watch it.
And I think another thing is what they're also trying to do is say, we're going to recast Jared Leto, so we're not in the same timeline.
And if Ben Affleck is not coming back as Batman, then it's like we don't really want to deal with those questions.
Yeah,
we just want to focus on
so it's a
parallel,
and I get it. Like they're trying to do that, but you don't have to.
That's a little bit of a housekeeping.
I don't think anybody yes, there's huge fandom, and I have no issues with Ben Affleck's Batman, but I do have issues with Jared Leto's Joker. But at this point, nobody is like, there's no huge outcry. Nobody's gonna be boycotting this movie because those characters are not the same people anymore.
Or if there is, it's like you said, there's no huge outcry. There's
it's no huge. There are, of course, with everything, there's always going to be people who are.
I would say the
it.
one sort of like counter and or like, it's a bummer to me that things have gone the way they have gone, because in the bigger picture of this stuff, Renee Montoya works at GCPD under Jim Gordon.
Right.
Harley Quinn and Huntress and Canary, they operate in a world where Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Cyborg, potentially Green Arrow, potentially a previous Black Canary, potentially Martian Manhunter, all exist. And I'm not saying...
You said Green Arrow, you meant Lantern?
Oh, no, well, Green Arrow, too.
Green Arrow, too.
I mean, if Black Canary exists...
Okay.
Does a Green Arrow exist? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
Like a history.
Right.
Yeah.
Not saying that they do, but potentially.
Yeah.
And there is a reference in this movie. There's a nice little Easter egg, a nice little callback to Jai Courtney's Captain
I know that
Boomerang,
guy.
which I thought was really cool.
Which is good.
I like that. To me, that's like, hey,
funny.
You don't need to have seen the other movie, but if you did, hey, this is for you. We're still acknowledging that this movie exists, and these events exist.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's like when you're completely avoiding talking about Batman, the events of the previous movies. Like I still think Shazam did it the best way. It doesn't like beat you over the head with referencing all these things, but like, oh yeah, there's the ship from Man of Steel.
It
there's
informs
the
how the
characters
relate to one another and relate to the world around them. Those kids were all about superheroes, which just helped that story. Because it's about Freddy helping Billy to learn how to be a superhero, so you have to have that point of reference.
Exactly.
Yeah, the Batman.
And I would have not wanted Batman in this movie to take anything away from these characters.
No.
This is what it's about.
It is that age-old balance that even comic books today deal with, which is if we have a great comic book like Gotham Central, which is just the cops of the Gotham City Police Department. How much Batman should be in this? How much not? That's the balance. How much should they refer to the larger world if there's big events happening, like Crisis on Infinite, or all that other cosmic shit? When you're trying to tell like a story, and you can tell personal stories in these big superhero worlds, and this is definitely a more street level story.
It's very much so.
For sure.
That balance is always going to be there, and I think that they did a great job handling it in this movie. However, it's interesting because this universe has a real interesting timeline that's kind of messed up a little bit. Again, in doing the research that we did with our like Road to Birds of Prey video that you can watch, we learned that Margot Robbie's Harley was born in 1990.
Yeah.
And 4 years later, the Ben Affleck version of Batman, that Bruce Wayne, became active as Batman in Gotham City. So it's like it's just really weird. Like, oh boy, okay, so there is already missed opportunities because humans age normally for certain characters that you would love to see kind of together, not being together. And that might be a part of the reason why Oracle is not in this. Because like they could have just introduced an adult woman Oracle who is in a wheelchair, Barbara Gordon, who is like ready to become the sort of, you know, person in the chair for the birds of prey, just like Ned Leeds, person in the chair. But at some point, people are asking, well, wait, when was she Batgirl? Was she Batgirl in the 90s? Was she Batgirl in the early 2000s?
If you make a Batgirl movie, will it take place in the past?
Are you going to
be a different Batgirl?
And like, and at first, Matt Reeves' Batman seemed like it was going to be in this world. But now it's like, no, it's going to be its own thing because I feel like it probably was because of all of that prior setup. Got to a point where Matt Reeves is like, I just want to do a movie.
I don't want to deal with this confusing timeline.
I just want to use like Scarecrow or I want to use Penguin and Riddler and, you know, Catwoman and not have you tell me like, well, Catwoman would be 45 and Penguin would be, you know, it's just like, no. So
just let me do my thing.
So part of the fun of these movies so far, including Shazam, great example, and we'll see how they carry it with Wonder Woman, is that great thing of being with these characters for years and seeing them progress in a sequel. That's part of the best thing about the Marvel movies. That's part of the best thing about comic books, period, and superhero stories, period. But it's a balance, and I think that this movie struck the right balance, but I am also like, man, I would have loved to have seen a full-on Batman film or Harley film where like they are interacting with one another and not one scene.
Or it's like a reference.
You know, but again, in this world, like maybe Batman's retired at this point. Maybe it's Ben Affleck. Like after we don't know. And I would still hope that.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I would still hope that those kinds of questions like kind of get answered at some point. And even if that means we'll never see a Batman with like a future Birds of Prey movie franchise, whatever, that's fine. But I would still love for them to, as much as they can, pair up those great characters that we know. Again, like I hope that like the DC Films franchise or the DCEU, even though it's not called that, has not dropped a lot of hints about Green Arrow because I'd love for there to be a Green Arrow now with this Black Canary. Do you see what I'm saying? I would hate for them to be like, well, this tie-in comic book came out where Green Arrow was partners with Batman back in the 90s. Oh, so he's like a 55-year-old dude now? Great. He should definitely not be macking on, you know, Journey, Scarlet Bell. Please stay away from that Black Canary. So those kinds of things I think that comic book fans like myself love to see. I still would like to see like more of that, but I'm glad that this was not concerned with that.
No,
that's very much like even talking about it now is just kind of putting me for a loop and already kind of souring the tone of the movie, which, you know, like, because I can't imagine if they were worried about those kind of timelines, how it could have like really, if they were worried about the age of this person and would this continuity line into this with that, like I just enjoyed Harley Quinn sniffing cocaine and beating people's asses, you know, like
and to their credit, the stuff with Black Canary felt like it was a reference to that. Because Renee being like, I knew your mom.
Another world.
I was like, cool. I want to kind of know about her mom now.
Exactly. Like, what did your mom do?
You got your power like she had.
Right.
I'm like, cool. I want to see a flashback in the 90s.
Laurel Lance.
With a young Ben Affleck Batman teaming up with Black Canary, the OG Black Canary.
That would have been cool.
That would be dope.
But like what they were doing now felt very fresh.
Yes.
It felt very unique to the voice of Harley Quinn. Like I feel like Harley Quinn helped in the production of this movie, not just Margot Robbie, but like Harley Quinn lended her voice to how she would have liked herself to be perceived. Like maybe if Harley Quinn really existed, she didn't have a hyena pet. But she was like, no, I had a hyena pet. Put it in the movie, please.
And his name was Bruce.
Put it in there, exactly. And his name was Bruce. Like he had, he has to, you know, stuff like that. But yeah, overall, I really, to go back to that one point, I really liked how they let her take a bite of the sandwich at the end. That was, like it wasn't.
It was like, so earned.
It was earned because you felt so bad because that sandwich. That sandwich looked so delicious, and it got smeared all over the floor. And then at the very end, she got to split a sandwich with Cassandra Cain, who we spent all this time in the movie, and they actually bonded and formed some kind of a relationship. They got to share a sandwich at the end, and it felt so satisfying at the very end where she got to really take a bite out of it.
That's going to go down in cinema history as one of the all-time greatest sandwiches.
That's
up
absolutely.
there with Spanglish and that grilled cheese from Chef.
I was going to say, those are my Chef.
Just any sandwich in Chef.
Pretty much.
They have the Cubanos, they have the other sandwiches.
Those are the top three sandwiches right there.
Oh, yeah. Man. Oh, most definitely. Yeah.
Man.
If I were to pick out anything that I really wish that this movie would have had a little bit more of, it's tough because like I do like the fact that this movie is a really tight hour 45.
Absolutely.
Me too.
Unless you see
Absolutely.
it at
Me too.
AMC, it's 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
All like
Dude,
goddamn
I had
trailers.
24 minutes of trailers before
Yeah.
my movie.
It's exhausting.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. Sorry.
But the thing that I'm looking, and I know that this will probably be something that they'll cover in a sequel, is I want more with Huntress.
For sure.
And I want
For
more
sure.
with Renee Montoya. Not to say
For sure.
we didn't get a lot of Renee Montoya.
But it's very
we did.
introductory.
It's very introductory.
And Renee was
and
great.
it's very like right place, right time. It's not necessarily building out the character, but I would love to get to know a little bit more about this version of Renee Montoya. Did she work under Gordon? Has she met
Sure.
Batman before? You know, like
Who
build
else
out
has-
a little bit
Did
of
she
that
date
history.
Maggie Sawyer, who's now in Metropolis? Like
Yeah,
that kind, like
exactly.
you know, does she know
that real nerdy
Batwoman?
comic book shit?
Yeah.
Love it, love it.
I'd
and
love to know more about that,
The main
yeah.
one is again, people are saying, make her the Question, dude. Make her
Yeah.
her own superhero.
I would love
Give her
that
a show
so
on HBO
much.
Max.
That'd be so cool. I would love it so much.
That's what I'm
And
saying.
then, you know, and then when it comes to Huntress, we spend a lot of movie with the character just sort of like recapping why she's in this movie. And I really would have loved to connect with the character more because when she comes out and she does action stuff and she's just like killing people
Owns
with a
it,
crossbow
yeah,
and stuff,
yeah.
I'm like, this is cool, but I want to be a little bit more connected with the character. So I
Right,
would say it's
right.
like we really focused on Harley and on Black Canary, and I love those characters
Yeah,
from this
yeah,
movie.
yeah.
Cassandra Cain, I think she's a little bit of a MacGuffin in this movie, and I would like to have spend a little bit more time sort of fleshing out who she is because she's so different from the comic book
Yeah,
version.
yeah.
And we get little hints of it with conversations between her and Black Canary. So it's like we're sprinkling the seeds. We're baiting people in a little bit of like, well, we want to leave a little bit of mystery because we do want to focus the movie a little bit more on Harley. But there's still enough in there that I'm like, cool, you got me hooked. Really like now do the deep dive and do the work of really building out a lot of these characters
Right.
who are not as
man.
like central to the story. But like Roman Sionis Black Mask,
Dude.
amazing. Like his
Yeah.
anytime he's on screen, there's something to be said about an actor that you love so much that when he plays a villain
Yeah.
that you fall in love with,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
something so like great about that.
Yeah.
Heath
No.
Ledger did that with Joker.
Because he's a person. Because you realize that he's weird.
it's delicious.
And it would take a weird person to be obsessed to the point to put on a black mask
Yeah.
before you're gonna go murder people. But then he loves shrunken heads,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Look, this guy didn't even know he was gonna be a decoration in my living room." He's like, "Ew, gross."
Yeah, that
I'm
was
like,
so
"Dude,
great.
come on, man, that's brilliant
Wow,
stuff that's
gross.
happening." Yeah,
Gross.
Even the like there's a lot of not a lot, but there's several like subplots. I felt like the Bertinelli subplot about the diamond was kind of like the thing I cared about the
I didn't
least.
care about
Same.
that.
You know,
Same.
and I really, it's obviously just in there to introduce
Yes.
and justify the presence of Huntress, which I'm fine with. I would have liked to have cared about that a little bit more. So I maybe would have connected with Huntress a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I do think when they actually reveal like what happens, how her brother gets killed, and how one of the thugs ends
Right.
up like taking her, training
Right.
her, I thought that was all great working
Yeah.
in the backstory of that character.
Yeah.
I would have just liked a little
it
bit
is
more
all
with her.
See,
backstory.
I didn't mind that as much, only because like the movie. Did you know Dumb and Dumber has a plot? Did you know that
Would've
movie has?
Samson, I
They're
don't know.
trying to do
It
stuff.
does. There's
Yeah.
ransom
Like
money.
there's
yeah.
ransom
yeah,
money.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
a
yeah.
villain.
Yeah.
There's all this stuff. But honestly,
but those two blowing in $100 bills,
right,
is my
dude,
my
that
favorite
dude,
thing.
like them eating a big June bug on the way up to the Rockies.
Yeah.
Where what's his name? John Denver was full
Yeah.
of shit. Like it's that kind of stuff that like. I don't care that the plot was not the strongest. Like, it was kind of a heisty, like, there's a diamond involved and it's
Yeah.
worth a lot of money, whatever. I understand that they kind of needed something in order to have Harley care about Cassandra Cain, because that's really what made that connection. At the end, it ended up being that Harley cared about Cassandra, not just because of the diamond,
Right.
because they actually formed a relationship, but
Yeah.
they needed that spark to, like, get those two to care about each other for
Right,
some
right.
reason. And I really enjoyed the fact that Harley Quinn enjoyed her time just hanging out and eating cereal in
Yeah.
her
Yeah.
apartment.
That was
you know?
such a good moment.
I
Yeah,
enjoyed
it
it
was
too.
so good.
My
Like,
only complaint was, y'all need more cereal in those bowls.
dude, come on. There was like
bling, bling, bling,
4
bling, bling, bling,
Cheerios
bling.
and
I'm
4
like, no, come on, man,
Cheerios.
fill up the bowl.
Yeah, come on, man. You need
Yeah.
a full bowl
That
of
was
cereal, but that was
definitely,
just nitpicky.
That's
Of
why the
course.
movie's only an hour 45.
That's
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
We don't
If
have
they had-
that real estate to pour all
That
that
full
cereal, baby.
luxurious shot
Yeah, if
of
they
like.
poured a full real bowl of cereal,
Yeah,
it would have
yeah.
been like an hour 50.
Yeah.
And there was, like I said, it was all the little moments that made me forget that there were not great plots. Like now thinking about it, where I'm just like, yeah, these subplots didn't really make sense.
I got two, like I said. I remembered what the two are.
Yeah.
What do you got?
30 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever, into the movie, when Harley goes back to the police station to get Cass, my brain was I was racking my brain. I'm like, how did she know Cass was there?
Yeah.
Because then when we flash back, and I was like, okay, I got to tell you, this is how it starts a couple days ago. I was like, okay, here we go. I'm going to get it explained. But it wasn't really, because it ended with her leaving Black Masks and being like, I'm going to go find. So I guess it was just implied that she was like a bloodhound because she found that one thing in a nest's egg, one of Joker's things.
Yeah, she found something in a nest egg in the park.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, she can just find stuff. That's fine. Didn't need to be explained, but it was one of those things where I didn't care because the movie was just like...
It was just going.
The second thing was at the end when Renee Montoya gets booted out of the
oh, that's right.
hideout. So I was like,
that's right.
What's on that window?
Did she fall a story, 2 stories?
Yeah,
Did
like
she fall into water? Did she fall into like dirt? I would have liked like
was it just like a wood panel
kind
thingy?
of a shot to explain like how she didn't die and how she could just kind of climb back in.
Right.
But again, wasn't as important as like that scene playing out the way that it did, and then when Renee just crawls her ass back in, I was like, sure.
I didn't even remember. I didn't even realize when she came back in. She was just suddenly in the scene again, and I was like, okay, cool.
Agent Michael Scarn. Like, I was just like, okay, that's
she
fine.
had her gun out, and suddenly everybody was just on the same team.
I would say my bigger thing of I didn't even click with me the Cassandra Cain thing. The thing I thought about the most was like, Gotham City police officers are fucking dumb.
Oh yeah.
She comes in and
why
she's
do you
just
think? Why do you think that city needs Batman?
Yeah, exactly.
She's just like beanbagging everyone.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
There's so many cops in here, and everyone's just running away from her. Y'all have guns.
Y'all ever been to L.A. before?
Yeah.
These cops just shoot you just for being
listen,
brown here.
Here's the deal. She's not brown. She's a very white woman.
True.
She walked in. She's like, I'm a white lady.
Yeah.
And we're like,
what
can we help you?
They're
like, you're fine, right? Nope.
How can we help
it's
you?
for the convenience of the story. And like,
no, absolutely.
On the first watch through, I'm kind of like, this is kind of
but you know
for
what
the sake
that
of
scene's
convenience,
about?
But at the same time, like, this is a really fun moment to let Harley just like
that scene is about beanbag gun glitter explosions.
Yeah.
Yes,
it's
exactly.
about fireworks.
Awesome. It is about fireworks.
Fireworks.
It's about her not knowing shit about electronics, so she just mashes that computer until the sprinklers turn on, and then you get a badass action scene in the sprinkler rain. And I'm just like, dude, this all works. Like, I don't care that it doesn't tie up all the loose ends because everything else is just so much fun.
Did you have fun watching the movie?
Dude, come on, man. I had so much fun watching the movie. And I highly recommend it to everybody. If you're on the fence about it, don't be.
Yeah.
Like, people are not watching this if they haven't seen this at this point.
Right.
But, like, tell people to, if they're on the fence, to not be. Like, this movie's just fun.
And I think it also really depends on how a movie presents itself. If a movie presents itself as mostly just being here for the entertainment and the fun, then I personally am more than willing to kind of like let the flaws wash over me.
Yes,
and be like,
exactly.
You know, it's when a movie establishes itself as being very serious and bring up and this movie does deal with certain themes that are very serious.
Yes.
But the way that it does it through the perspective of Harley Quinn in a playful way, you can still laugh at it with her and be uncomfortable because it is very uncomfortable material.
Yeah.
But there are sometimes movies, even in the superhero genre, that deal with stuff like this that please take us seriously. We really want to say something about it. And you're like, this is not hitting with me.
Right.
This is not working with me. So in that regard, like, I think that movie does that pretty well.
Some stuff I really think it does really well that I really want to mention. Score by Daniel Pemberton, who did amazing.
I did not care about the
Spider-Man
score.
Into the Spider-Verse. I dug it.
I love the Spider-Verse score.
I thought it was great. I could see hints of what he was doing in Spider-Verse in this film.
I don't remember any of it.
I thought it was fantastic.
I don't either.
It comes out next Friday. I can't wait to get it. The soundtrack is dope.
Soundtrack was the highlight.
I thought that both of those were working well, but I cannot wait to hear the score while reading like Birds of Prey comics, Harley
Big
comics.
difference between Suicide Squad and this movie.
Yes.
Suicide Squad
Yes.
tacked on to make it feel like another superhero movie.
Yes.
This movie
unique
felt like it fit the characters
Organic.
and the themes and the story and the tone.
Oh, and that little dream sequence, the diamonds are a girl's best friend. That shit was great. Christina Hodson, I think, did a great job with the screenplay. Right, the writer of Bumblebee, awesome screenplay. Kathy Ann did a fantastic job directing. So I wanted to mention those. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is you're talking about kind of what the movie's attempting to do. A thing that I love is that even though I think this is a really great remix in terms of cherry-picking characters from cherry-picking timelines and kind of putting them in this movie in combinations we're not used to seeing, namely Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey, I walked out of that theater and my girlfriend, who's not a huge comic reader, was asking questions like, Renee Montoya, is she really like that? Is that really her deal? Is she really like that in the comics? And I'm like, yes. And she's like, Huntress, she's really awkward. Is she really like that? Is that her backstory? It was great.
Here's some comics.
Yes. So Black Canary is really cool. That's her. And my girlfriend was like, I was waiting for Black Canary to do the thing the whole time because she knew that she could do it.
Yeah.
And I said, yes, but what I love is that in the comics, she is known almost more for being that martial arts expert, that Black Widow level of fighter.
Yeah.
So all of those things that were coming from my girlfriend meant like this movie nailed the characters in their essences, maybe with the exception of Cassandra Cain, but even then I could still point to certain things in the movie and be like, that's very much like the comic book.
I think it works for what they were adapting.
Correct. So that's what I was most happy about, is that hopefully it gets people to go check out these stories and these characters.
Yeah. Look, if Gail Simone talks about how much she loves the portrayals of the characters, then I'm like, you can't really,
it's great.
you can't really complain about it too much.
Yep. Oh, but people have.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I loved it. It's my favorite.
Yeah, I don't know if I have anything else to say because it's only nice things.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to say bad things about this movie because I loved it and I had so much fun.
I'll give you some bad things. This movie came out right after DC switched up their action figure license. So now I got to wait. Like, there's no action figures of this out.
Oh, really?
No, and at least with Shazam, I had Shazam and Sivana.
Yeah.
They made, like, Mattel made those action figures to fit, like, my Aquaman action figures and my Wonder Woman action figures. There's no action figures.
Nerd world problems, my friend.
For real.
Nerd world problems.
Between this and your 3D Blu-rays, you have nothing to complain about. I guess.
They just gave Joker a different girlfriend in the comics.
I know, punchline, right?
Jeez,
right?
Okay.
Come on, guys.
Right.
Pick another.
Come on, guys.
Pick another weekend to announce that.
Tone deaf releases, guys.
The Joker would do that. I got a new girlfriend.
Yeah.
That's cool. This movie's coming out as the number one movie in the weekend, but I got a girlfriend. Did you meet her? Her name's I don't know.
What is it? I don't know.
Punchline.
Abusive piece of shit. Fictional character Joker.
Sequel.
He's toxic.
I'm in.
I want to see more of Huntress and I want to see more of Renee Montoya. It was fun seeing them at the end with all their costumes and stuff too.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, same. And I loved how Huntress got a mask because someone was like, "You're Bertinelli," and she's like, "Shit!" Like, you need a mask, dude.
She needs a mask. Yeah, 100%.
100%. But guys, let us know in the comments what you thought about Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn. Any other Easter eggs? There was actually quite a few Easter eggs that a lot of people would bring up on social media and stuff, but I'd love to hear if there's anything that you caught, any references to any of the other movies or characters in the universe, and how you would like to see maybe other characters brought into this franchise, whether it's in a cameo capacity or like they did with Captain Boomerang, just a really nice, subtle little reference. Let us know in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next review.
Caw-caw! Caw-caw! I'm calling the Birds of Prey. Caw-caw!